there was a time when the right wing, and actually, when I think about it, it wasn't all that long ago, there was this moment where the right of politics was having a go at Albo incessantly, over and over again. They repeated the idea that Albo was struggling to have a meeting with Donald Trump because Trump had too many other things on his plate and Albo was insignificant. And this insignificant was because Albanese and Rudd had criticised Trump in the past. And that became the theme. We saw continual video of Albo saying that he was scared of Trump, that he scared him. And of course, Rudd saying that he was a clown and all that sort of stuff. And the fact that Rudd said that Trump was a clown was accurate. There's no disputing all of that. But they needed to play this over and over again to have a shot at Albo. So some of you may remember this particular clip, which I'll play right now for you.
You see G7 leaders dined, of course, with President Trump. And of course, with Albanese steeling himself for his 20 minutes with the man he calls scary, well, Albo has now been stood up. Trump has bigger issues and more important priorities just now, and Australia's efforts to escape punitive tariffs and seek reassurance over the AUKUS deal will have to wait. This is awkward for Albanese and just a little embarrassing, even though Trump's priorities are understandable. There was no effort from the US to move the meeting forward or squeeze it in before the president left. And you have to ask yourself, why would President Trump go out of his way for the Australian Prime Minister just now? When I served as Chief of Staff for Foreign Minister Alexander Downer in the Howard government, Australia's voice mattered. We stood up for our values and we tried to work with the US, who shared those values. There's no relationship that's more important for this nation, but Albanese has treated it with disdain. Apart from old abusive comments towards Trump from Albo and many of his ministers, Australia has put itself at odds with the US. The Albanese government has stuck with the doomed Paris net zero agenda, even when the US has called time on it. And when US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth said Australia should boost its defence spending, Albanese gave him short shrift instead of sensibly engaging on an issue of critical importance to our alliance.
And so it goes on incessantly. In fact, it was day after day on Sky News. They bombarded us with issues around Albanese's failure to have a meeting with Trump, and that the US-Australia alliance was dead, that there was nothing that could be done about it because it was obvious that Rudd and Albo disliked Trump. It was just it. That was the way it goes. But now, I need to add, things have changed significantly, and this surprised me because I wonder to what degree the guys on Sky News had to swallow their disdain for Albo in order to say things like this.
Speaking of Donald Trump, remember all this?
You previously said that Donald Trump scares the out of you.
He scares the out of me.
The United States in the last 4 years has been run by a village idiot.
And remember all those endless headlines about how toxic Donald Trump was, about how disruptive Trump's election was to Australian politics, about how Trump was such a major problem for the coalition, and how Trump trespassed on the federal election, and how Trump had poisoned Peter Dutton's chances.
And on those issues, it is true that Trumpism is not welcome in Australia. It is a simple fact. And people like this clown need to accept that that is a reality. So to play all these clips again is fine, but it is a reality that Trumpism, as it stands in the US, would not work here in Australia because we would simply be intolerant of it.
The relentless fear and loathing of Donald Trump in the Australian media was a farce. Idiotically, many conservative commentators and so-called
I can't get over the fact that they're insisting that the reporting on Trump itself was somehow inaccurate. It wasn't. Was the reality, and it did, in effect, impact the election earlier this year. And so these people need to come to some sort of realization that instead of gaslighting us, they should accept the fact that Trump in Australia is toxic. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand any of this, but these guys do struggle with it nevertheless.
pundits joined in this nonsense. But that was then. This is now.
And now,
We had a great meeting a week ago. You came all the way, and now you came here, but this isn't quite as far. This time I traveled far.
So I thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony. It's an honor to sign this.
Albo and Trump, it's the bromance of the century. They're now besties. Personally, I am absolutely thrilled. As I've been saying for years, Australian politicians need to embrace.
I think Dean doesn't understand that this is a Labor politician he's talking about. They've rallied against Albo for the last 3.5 years, and now they see him as having done something that they believe is positive because he has developed a relationship with the person that they believe is the better person of the two, namely Trump.
Donald Trump to secure the future prosperity and security of this nation. There is no alternative. At the White House, in front of the world media, Donald Trump could have easily savaged, shredded Anthony Albanese over his idiotic recognition of Palestine.
And I think there's a part of them, though, that would have loved that to have happened. But because it didn't happen, they then have to try and spin it another way. And my guess is that must hurt.
Over his moronic anti-Trump comments, over our mad net zero policies, and much, much more besides. But Donald Trump shrewdly kept his criticism and his derision aimed squarely on our useless ambassador, Kevin Rudd. Donald Trump knows he needs Australia. He needs our rare earths. He needs our critical minerals. So we are looking sweet for the foreseeable future.
And the question is, for me, is where was all that conversation a month or so ago? Why weren't they talking about the needs that they were criticising AUKUS? They were saying that AUKUS was going to be canned, that Albo didn't have any power or influence in the US. And they keep forgetting that it was Kevin Rudd who was behind all of these meetings, who got everybody together, who organised the conversations and the discussions around AUKUS, because this is what an ambassador does. They lose sight of the importance of Rudd. They may criticise him for the things that he said, and kind of fair enough, even though I personally don't disagree with Rudd, but nevertheless, he did a good job, and they can't acknowledge that. They've at least got to have a shot at Kevin regardless of whatever happens. But now these bastards are having to look at the situation differently. They're now having to say, okay, our relationship with Trump has turned out to be better than what they anticipated. Because, and no, the thing that concerns me the most, I guess, is that because they spent so many sessions, so many months criticising Albo for his lack of engagement with Trump, suddenly, when Trump acknowledges Albo and signs an agreement with us, it's a good thing. It suddenly is a good thing. And they don't know what to do with it. They're confused. The poor bastards at Sky are running around scratching their heads saying, how can we criticise Albo at this particular point? Well, we can criticise him at home because of net zero, because of renewables, because of inflation having gone up. There are many reasons why we can now criticise Albo. But in terms of our relationship with the US, that's gone. They can no longer do that. Let me know what you think about that, about the switch that's taken at Sky News and how they are feeling conflicted about that relationship, given the criticism that they've offered it, that they've presented over it for some time. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Take care, everybody.